Prediction for One Piece Chapter 1050: Protecting Luffy from the world government. Kaido's Road Poneglyph. Hello everyone, welcome back to Kuroi Neko. Right now, Luffy, Kaido and Momonosuke all lying in the ground of Wano. Kaido lost his horn, Luffy is burned to crisp, Momonosuke utterly exhausted after holding Onigashima. This suggests that the battle truly ends, and through it, we can all be impressed by the glorious past of Yonko Kaido, a born warrior with countless trophies. From the flashback, we all have more information about Rock's pirate, as well as the reason why Kaido chose Wano as his domain. Just because he thought that Oden's purpose when he opened the country was to welcome Joy Boy. It's true that Kaido wants to become the challenger for Joy Boy, who wants to meet that great person who himself believes is the only one who is worthy to be able to defeat him. This is the final exam for Luffy, to see if he is truly Joy Boy, the one bring freedom and change to the whole world. Just like the definition of Nika, the god always bring joy, bring freedom to everyone. Because only by overcoming him, Luffy can be recognized as a new generation Joy Boy. With the endorsement of Junisha, the character who decided to put his faith in Luffy. It's safe to say that chapter 1049 is a very meaningful touch, that we have a very different view of Kaido. He's never dreamed to become the Pirate King, but all his life want to meet the great person, even though chapter 1049 usually seems to confirm that Kaido was defeated, because his horn is broken and Onigashima is safe as well, but there's still a lot of other problems that arise at the aftermath of this war. Protecting Luffy from the world government. So even though Luffy won this extreme fear battle, he still suffered a lot of terrible heat radiation from Shirohige, because that was Kaido's strongest move. Luffy himself also felt extreme dangerous if touched directly, so he always kept himself in a distance to minimize the damage as much as possible. But Kaido is also not a mediocre fighter. When he knows that Luffy is trying to avoid touching his fire armor, he also tries his best to touch Luffy with a lot of praise. Really good. I really have to give you a lot of praise after you went this far. This panel really shows how much Luffy is in pain when he touched by the fire of Shirohige, with the impression of one eye opening, one eye clenching, his teeth tightly furrowing his brow as if Luffy is in extreme pain when he has to endure such an enormous heat radiating from Kaido, and he had to struggle to this extreme. So with Luffy falling after defeating Kaido is very understandable. Plus, a side effect of activity, Gear 5th and awaken his Delphi in such a short time, Luffy might need a lot of time to heal after this just to be able to wake up. Also, thanks to this, Luffy desperately needs help from people around him to protect him from other hostile forces that are targeting him. Stand out the most is the world government that had always wanted to kill Luffy immediately, because it was determined that he was the biggest threat that the Fire has to face in the future. Luffy defeated Kaido, and getting to this point proved that Luffy is the Joy Boy of this generation. And Joy Boy is rumored to be the opponent of the world government a few hundred years ago. So it's certain that after that, Luffy will be the most dangerous criminal in the world, taking over his father's place. Killing Luffy in the later arc will be the #1 priority of the world government. And the government will probably use its new palm, the shape of the revolutionary army, Sabo, to lure both Luffy and Dragon into their trap. But there's still one thing left. The CPO spy has managed to escape from Onigashima. We are not certain what he will do next, but it's more likely that he will report everything that happened to the headquarters. So maybe his destination will be the warship waiting outside Wano. So being stuck here forever is definitely not the way to go, since sooner or later he will be killed by either by the Alliance or by the Donko. Wano is a closed country. It's a very secretive place that's separate from the outside world. Onigashima is even worse. So if the government want all the information about the world, it has to be through this very CPO member. But CPO only have one single member left out of 3. When one of them is beaten by Izo, one is destroyed by Kaido, and the one left had to find any way to hide somewhere until everything else is okay again. From chapter 1042 until now, the world government seems completely clueless about what's happening in Wano. From Luffy has awakened his devil fury to the defeat of Kaido, so the last CPO will be an invaluable source of information that the Five Elder, without any hesitation, will order the warship to dock outside the Wano to attack. Perhaps this fleet will fail when Zushina is guarding outside, but the Five Elder will have a chance to launch a bigger campaign to attack Wano directly, not to miss this opportunity. This time when both Luffy and Kaido is unconscious, Wano is like the biggest fest in the government life. A chance to quickly grab both the emperors and a bunch of supernova. Of course, the Shawhead, the Hurt crew and the Kid crew won't leave Wano so quickly while still having to wait to heal and recover. Right now, both Zoro and Luffy is completely defenseless, so everyone has to protect the two of them from the world government. Fortunately, there's a lot of very strong people can do this, like Kid, Law, Sanji, Jinbei. So their next move after taking down Chu Yonko is to protect Luffy while the fog is still strong. Sanji has just woken up with full strength, waiting to show his might. Jinbei still have a lot of square strength, even though Kid and Law said they're going to exhaust dozens of times. But according to the situation, I still believe that they have a lot of strength to use. Right now, there are two things that the Alliance needs to solve immediately. First, heal everyone, a very understandable thing after a fight. Second, protecting the one who no longer able to fight, like Luffy, Zoro, since Wano probably no longer have the eye and ear of the world government and Yonko anymore. So there's no need to hide Luffy and Zoro. They are the heroes that liberate the Wano from Yonko for the past 20 years. Kaido's road poneglyph. Oda hasn't mentioned it much, but it's also a job for Straw Hat to do and continue to do. With how they has the poneglyph that they own, there must be a third one for sure that Kaido has to hide around. I think that Zero will know something when he has spent the past 3 years spying on Kaido and Orochi, as well as for a long time since the beginning of the first stage. Oda has hide him somewhere and suddenly reappear, not to just say Hiyori and cut off Orochi head. Who knows, maybe he's fighting the one thing that Kaido is protecting for so many years. In Onigashima, there's still a mystery. The giant sword next to the skull is likely that the sword will be the mark for the position of the road poneglyph, since Luffy and Kaido battle has ended, but the giant sword is completely unknown if how they would be used in the storyline. So it can be expected that Oda will use this detail as the beginning of the hunt for the red poneglyph. Because Oda has never put a single wasted detail, so if he doesn't use this detail, it will be very, very strange. The world government came not only for Luffy but also to catch Robin and collect the road poneglyph. Wano is where all poneglyphs come from, which the government absolutely hate, since there's a stone that records the information about the Void Century, but there's still no way to destroy the poneglyph and sealing the information once and for all. The government knows this very well, but never dared to enter one for 20 years because it's Kaido colony and also a very mysterious place that shut off from the outside world. It is famous for powerful and unpredictable samurai, not to mention the ancient is to cross a very dangerous waterfall, but right now, with Luffy wasted, Robin is also right here to be caught with the Straw Hat and True Poneglyph, and other one is protected by Kaido, which is also unconscious. So there's a lot of things to capture here. Although there are many people in the alliance who can fight, but all of them is severely weakened. The government decide to invade now, it's like hitting 20 birds with a single stone. So Kaido poneglyph is the key detail of the last part of Wano. So besides healing, the Straw Hat will also have to conduct the decoding as fast as possible. With road poneglyph from Big Mom, the one from Kaido, Nami will also play a very important role in drawing the chart. Even though you need all 4 keys to fight it, but it can be said that Straw Hat Luffy is the force that comes closest to the One Piece. This will be the one of the biggest problem that world government consider a threat that needs to be destroyed immediately. Luffy is increasingly moving toward the Pirate King title and is about to achieve his dream. Straw Hat owning 3 poneglyphs also proves that One Piece is about to complete its journey. When only about 1 to 2 more arcs left, the participant of the government at the end of Wano is the beginning of the final of One Piece. Luffy is confirmed to be the next Joy Boy and will fight directly with the world government, thanks to Sabo. Besides, not only the world government appear at the end of Wano, but also some other characters make their appearance, like Blackbeard, Shang, Garp. Blackbeard is probably like the world government take no Wano where there's a bunch of Juan Devil Fruit waiting to be collected, and the awakening of Luffy. Shang can come for the Hito no Mi Moronika, but it can also to protect Luffy, since it's likely that to be needed another Yonko to support Luffy at this moment. Who knows if the fire will send the Myro. At this point of the story, it will be too short of story for us. Garp will also come to protect Luffy from death and being captured by the world government because he's very worried about Luffy. One other side likely to come to Wano is the Revolutionary Army. Luffy is said to be the new generation Joy Boy, who will be the biggest enemy of the world government, meaning Luffy and Revolutionary Army is on the same side. Not to mention, father and son right now is the best thing can happen. So forming a stronger force to fight the world government is a must in the future arc. What do you think will happen in the One Piece chapter 1050? Let me know in the comment section.